Hey everyone, all right, so thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you're all doing very well. So today I am here. We are going to be talking briefly about our Heroes Day celebrations, today being the 9th, and we know that today we are celebrating Heroes Day, and tomorrow is the 10th. We're going to be celebrating Defense Forces Day. Now these are men and women who stood up, who sacrificed to defend, who sacrificed to fight for our independence, to fight all those people who are making us suffer as black people, were making us to be slaves in our own homes, to be slaves in our own land. These are young women and men who said, hey, let's go out there, stand up and fight for our sovereignty. So today we celebrate such. Now, I know when we talk of heroes, there are so many names that comes into our minds. You know, there are some very common names that really quickly comes into our minds. Like we can talk of the Robert Mugabe is just one person. Once we talk of heroes, boom, he comes into our minds. We've got Joshua Mkabo Kongomo. We have got the Tongo Gara, the Benjamin Burombo, the Mujuru. You know, a lot of those people. You know, we know them. We appreciate them for everything that they've done, and many other names that we might not even know. And also those who were not actually holding guns, but those who were supporting, we still appreciate them today, all right? And I think the government that now they've initiated a program where these people who never held the gun but were part of the liberation struggle are also going to be recognized for the work that they did here. So I did a video about that, and I shared that video about Vanachim Guido Nanam Koma, right? Now, there's also some other people, some other names who were supporting names and also who took part in the liberation of Zimbabwe. Now, August is the month of women, it's the Women's Month. I decided to talk briefly about one woman that I know most of us might have heard about, but we don't really know how. Why is she a liberation war hero? Is it just because she was married to the former president, or she actually took part in the liberation of Zimbabwe? I am talking about Amai Mugabe. Yes. Now, a lot of us who have come across, stories about Amai Mugabe, that she was a wonderful woman, that, she contributed this, but we don't really know much, like her full name, when she was born, when they got married, how many children they had, and all those kind of stuff. So those are the short things that I'm just going to be talking about right now. Now, Amai Mugabe was born Sarah Francisca Sally Hayfron. Yes, she was born in 1931 on the 6th of June in Ghana, in the now Ghana. Before then, it was not called Ghana, So in the now Ghana, so she was a Ghanaian, and her parents were also Ghanaians, they were into politics as well. Amai Sally was a teacher by profession. Yes, she was a teacher by profession, and it was through teaching that she met the late Robert Mugabe. They were teaching at the same teachers college, at the training teachers college. That's where they were teaching together, and they met each other, fell in love, and they ended up being husband and wife. They got married in 1961. Yes. Now, in 1963, they had their first child, a boy, and his name was Namo Zenyika. But unfortunately, Namo Zenyika passed away at the age of 3 in 1966 in Ghana. And by that time, Sally was not allowed to attend the funeral of her son for some reason, because when she was in Rhodesia, in southern Rhodesia then, which is the new Zimbabwe, she was involved into politics. She became an activist and mobilizing women to speak against some irregularities that were on the constitution that time. So she started to mobilize women to say, hey women, let's stand up against this and that. So she stood up against the constitution, a lot of things. So she became a very, very sound activist. So because of that, it really affected her, her family dynamic. Now, on the other hand, her husband is involved in politics. She is involved in politics. So a lot of things started to happen. So when she had their child in 1963, in 1964, RG was arrested. I mean, Robert Mugabe was put into prison. So she had the child. She had to look after the child alone. And so, unfortunately, in 1966, the child passed away due to malaria. So you can imagine, as a young woman, is a young woman, you have your child, your husband is in prison, your child falls sick, your child dies, you're not able to go and bury your child, you are also being pursued for activism and a lot of the things. You know, if it was other women, they would break down and just be like, I give up, I surrender, cry and all this. But that was not Amai Salih's kind of spirit. Amai Salih should be a woman we can look up to for, you know, for that spirit of fighting, for that spirit of knowing that even though I am a woman, I can stand up for what I believe in. I can stand up and speak out against anything that I see that this is not right. Okay, she stood up for that, and even though she was facing all those challenges of finding herself alone, her husband in prison, and at one time she was also sent to UK, you know, in exile. She went in exile in UK. She ended up getting, you know, a UK stay permit there, a residence permit. A lot of things were happening in her life, but hey, one thing I admire about her, she stood by her husband. Now, when time came, it was around 1970, she went to Mozambique when her husband was released. She joined her husband and she continued in her activism, and that is when she attained the name Amai, because she then took over the President Mugabe fighting on the other side, and she was also supporting, you know, those liberation war heroes, you know, when they were fighting, the young men and the young women, you know, being the mother, providing what they wanted, moral guidance, and a lot of other things that she was involved in, and so she attained the name of being Amai. You understand? Now, along the way, you know, she fought a good fight with her husband until Zimbabwe attained its independence in 1980. So she became the wife of the first black prime minister of Zimbabwe. Remember, R.G. Mugabe was not the first president of Zimbabwe. He was the first prime minister, the black prime minister of Zimbabwe. The first president of Zimbabwe was Kenan Banana. Yes, now, so she also had to adjust to being, you know, the prime minister's wife. You know, she also had to adjust to that position of every woman in all walks of life looking up to her as the mother. But hey, she took this role like a hero. She was, you know, she took the role as a woman. She was a woman of virtue, you know, woman of power, woman of courage. And that is why we should be encouraged by her. And by the time she became the first lady of Zimbabwe, that is in 1987, when Mugabe took over, she just maintained that nature of being a wonderful woman. I think many of us, you know, who could understand what I'm talking about, they will know that she was a good woman, celebrated by many. Many people have spoken good of her. Nothing bad has ever been spoken about Amai Salih Mugabe, but they thought she was a very, very humble woman. She was there to build the nation. She was there to make sure that our president, you know, did things right and everything else, you understand. So she was celebrated in that manner. Unfortunately for Amai Salih Mugabe, she succumbed to cancer. That is in 1980. What? Let me check. In 1992. 27th of January 1992, she succumbed to cancer and she passed away. It was really a bad time for Zimbabweans, because she was a wonderful person. She was a humble person, and even today, what she did speaks for herself. You know, what she did speaks for herself. She didn't have children by the time she passed away, so all she had was us. We were her children, you know, our parents were children. I mean, we'll say maybe she was our grandmother, right? But right now we'll say she was our grandmother, but she became the mother of all. Even though she didn't have her own biological children, she became the mother of all. So this is the story of a very young woman who saw, you know, the pain of losing a child at a young age, who saw her husband being arrested, who became an activist, you know, got arrested as well. Yes, she at one time got arrested as well, you know, for activism and everything, but she never derailed. She never looked back. She stood and continued to walk. So today, as we celebrate our heroes, you know, let's also remember the women who were also involved in the liberation struggle of our country. And today I only chose to talk about Amai Salih Mugabe, but there are so many other women we can talk of, even those who are still living today. We can talk of Comrade Opamu Chinguri. She was in the war. We can talk of her, okay? so many other women that we can talk of. So today I just chose to talk about Amai Mugabe, and I hope you're all doing very well wherever you are. Tomorrow we still have a holiday where we are going to be celebrating the defense forces. Those are men who are standing up right now to protect our sovereignty, our integrity as a nation, our peace and security. So they deserve our utmost respect and celebration. And if you are new to the channel, why don't you take this opportunity to subscribe and stay so that you don't miss on this and more. And of course, I'm going to bring you the speech that was done by His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, E.D. Mnangagwa. Until then,